When a humble waitress warns a millionaire about his trusted business partner, she ignites a storm of betrayal that could shatter 2 decades of friendship. Will he believe her? In the heart of a bustling city, a quaint cafe thrived amidst the chaos. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sweet scent of pastries, creating a warm haven for patrons seeking refuge from their daily grind. Among them was Lily, a young waitress with bright eyes and an unwavering smile. Her days were filled with the sounds of clinking cups and cheerful chatter, but her heart was heavy with unspoken dreams. She aspired to be more than just a waitress. She yearned for a life where she could inspire others, yet she found herself trapped in the monotony of her routine. Every day, Lily observed the same faces, but one stood out, the wealthy businessman, Jack Thompson. He was a regular, often accompanied by his charismatic partner, Max. Jack exuded confidence and charm, a man who had built his empire from the ground up. Yet there was something about Max that unsettled her. His laughter seemed too loud, his compliments too rehearsed, like a performance meant to distract from something darker. Each interaction between the two men felt electric, charged with a tension Lily couldn't quite place. As she served them one afternoon, Lily noticed Max leaning in closer to Jack, whispering something that made Jack chuckle. But there was a flicker in Jack's eyes, a moment of doubt that sent a shiver down Lily's spine. It was a fleeting expression, quickly masked by a smile, yet it lingered in Lily's thoughts. Why did it disturb her so much? Perhaps it was the way Max's gaze lingered a moment too long on Jack's wallet, or the way he placed a possessive hand on Jack's shoulder, as if claiming ownership. That evening, as the cafe emptied and the sun dipped below the horizon, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Her instincts nagged at her, a whisper urging her to pay closer attention. She decided to linger a bit longer, wiping down tables while stealing glances at Jack and Max, who were now engrossed in a heated conversation. The laughter had faded, replaced by furrowed brows and animated gestures. Lily's heart raced. She felt like an unwilling participant in a drama unfolding before her. It was then that she overheard snippets of their conversation, words that pricked at her curiosity. "Investment opportunity," Jack said, his voice tinged with excitement. "It's a sure thing, Max. I trust you." That single statement reverberated in her mind. Trust. It was a fragile thing, easily broken, and the weight of it bore down on her chest. Unable to resist, she slipped behind the counter, pretending to organize napkins while straining to catch more of their dialogue. Max's voice rose slightly, his tone laced with urgency. "You've worked hard, Jack. You deserve this." Lily felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Why did it sound like a sales pitch? A rehearsed line aimed at convincing someone to overlook the fine print? The more she listened, the more unsettled she became. Later that week, the tension continued to build. Lily found herself looking for reasons to be near Jack, hoping to glean more insights into his world. She learned that he had started his career as a young entrepreneur, a rags-to-riches story that was the envy of many. His success was a testament to his hard work, but the longer she observed him with Max, the more she wondered if the friendship was as solid as it appeared. One evening, as the cafe was closing, Lily caught Jack alone, seated at his usual corner table, staring pensively into his coffee cup. His expression was one she hadn't seen before, vulnerable and contemplative. Gathering her courage, she approached him with a smile. "Everything okay, Mr. Thompson?" Jack looked up, momentarily startled, and then smiled back, the warmth in his eyes returning. "Just thinking about business. You know how it is." Lily hesitated, sensing an opening but feeling the weight of the warning she wanted to convey. Instead, she simply nodded and offered a refill. As she poured the coffee, her heart raced. "I've noticed you and Max seem close." His smile faded slightly, replaced by a thoughtful expression. "Yeah, we've been partners for years. He's been a huge support." But there was something unspoken in his words, a flicker of doubt that she couldn't ignore. As Jack thanked her and returned to his thoughts, Lily's resolve hardened. She had to do something. If her instincts were correct, she couldn't stand by and watch someone so genuine fall prey to betrayal. That night, as she closed the cafe, the weight of her decision settled in her heart. The line between caution and bravery blurred. How could she, a simple waitress, intervene in the life of a successful businessman? Yet the truth was clear. If she didn't act, she might regret it forever. In the depths of her heart, she felt that it was her duty to protect those who might not see the dangers lurking in the shadows, even if it meant risking her own comfort. As the neon lights flickered outside, casting a glow on the empty streets, Lily knew she had to confront the fear gnawing at her. Tomorrow she would speak to Jack, and whatever the outcome, she was ready to face the consequences. The thought both thrilled and terrified her, but deep down, she knew it was a step toward the life she longed for, a life where kindness and courage prevailed over complacency. The next day, as dawn broke over the city, Lily felt a storm of emotions brewing inside her. Determination mingled with anxiety, creating a whirlwind that threatened to sweep her off her feet. She arrived at the cafe early, the familiar scent of coffee beans and freshly baked pastries filling the air. But it was the weight of her mission that consumed her thoughts. Today would be the day she confronted Jack. Today she would share her concerns, even if it meant stepping far outside her comfort zone. As the cafe began to fill with the morning rush, Lily's heart raced. Each time the bell above the door jingled, she glanced up, searching for Jack. She imagined the conversation in her mind, rehearsing every word, but doubts crept in. What if he dismissed her? What if he thought she was just a waitress meddling in his affairs? Just as she began to lose hope, she spotted him walking through the door, his confident stride a stark contrast to her quivering heart. Jack's presence filled the cafe with an air of authority and warmth. He nodded to familiar patrons, his easy smile lighting up the room. As he approached the counter, Lily took a deep breath, summoning every ounce of courage she possessed. "Good morning, Mr. Thompson," she greeted, trying to mask the tremor in her voice. "Morning, Lily. How's your day going?" he replied, his eyes sparkling with genuine interest. "Busy as usual," she chuckled nervously. "I wanted to talk to you about something important if you have a moment." Jack's smile faltered slightly, curiosity replacing his casual demeanor. "Sure. What's on your mind?" Lily's heart raced as she motioned for him to sit at a small table tucked away from the hustle and bustle. She took a seat across from him, her palms clammy against the table. "It's about Max," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack's brows furrowed. "Max? What about him?" The weight of her words loomed heavy in the air. "I've been observing your partnership with him, and I have some concerns. I don't want to overstep, but—" She hesitated, searching for the right way to convey her fears without sounding paranoid. "I just get this feeling that he may not have your best interests at heart." Jack's expression shifted from curiosity to disbelief. "What do you mean? Max has been my partner for years. He's helped me build this business." The loyalty in his voice was palpable, yet it only fueled Lily's urgency. "I know, but sometimes the people closest to us can be the most dangerous. I overheard a conversation between you two the other day, and I felt something was off." Her heart raced, adrenaline coursing through her veins as she spoke the truth she had been holding on to. He was talking about investments, and the way he spoke made it sound like he was trying to sell you on something. Jack leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. "You must have misunderstood. Max is passionate about our projects. He's the reason we've been so successful." "Maybe," Lily replied, her voice trembling slightly. "But I can't shake this feeling. I just don't want you to be blindsided. I care about your success, and I don't want to see you hurt." The sincerity in her words hung in the air, waiting for him to absorb her warning. Silence enveloped them, thick with unspoken tension. Jack's gaze drifted, lost in thought as he processed her words. "You really think he would betray me?" His voice held a mixture of doubt and concern. "I don't know him the way you do, but I've seen people manipulate trust for their gain. Please just be cautious. Maybe keep an eye on your finances or even ask someone to review your contracts. It's better to be safe than sorry." Jack's expression softened as he looked at her, a flicker of appreciation shining through his initial skepticism. "I appreciate your concern, Lily. It's not easy for me to hear, but I know you mean well." He paused, weighing her words carefully. "I'll think about it, but you have to understand, I've trusted Max for 2 decades. It's hard to believe he would turn on me." I know it's difficult, Lily replied, her heart aching for him. But sometimes love blinds us to the truth. Just promise me you'll be vigilant. Jack nodded slowly, the light of realization beginning to spark in his eyes. You're right. I'll keep my eyes open. As they finished their conversation, Lily felt a strange mix of relief and anxiety wash over her. She had spoken her truth, but the journey ahead was uncertain. Jack's trust in Max was profound, and she worried that her warning might lead to friction between them. Yet deep down, she believed she had done the right thing. She couldn't ignore her instincts. She had to act on them. Later that day, the cafe buzzed with energy as customers filled every table. Yet Lily's mind drifted back to Jack's contemplative expression. Did she truly reach him? Would he heed her warning? The uncertainty gnawed at her. A few hours later, as the sun began its descent, Jack returned to the cafe, his demeanor a mix of gratitude and apprehension. Hey, Lily, he called, approaching the counter. I've been thinking about what you said earlier. Do you mind if we talk again? Lily's heart raced with anticipation. Of course I'm here. Jack leaned closer, his voice lowered as if sharing a secret. I talked to Max after our conversation. I brought up your concerns. He brushed them off, but I could see something in his eyes. Jack paused, searching for the right words. It made me realize I might not know him as well as I thought. Thank you for speaking up. Lily's heart swelled with a mix of pride and worry. Jack's trust in her words had cracked the facade of their partnership, but what would happen next? She knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but she also understood that the first step had been taken. Jack was beginning to question the loyalty of his longtime partner, and the truth would soon unravel in ways she couldn't yet fathom. As the cafe closed for the night, Lily felt a flicker of hope. She had ignited a spark of awareness in Jack, and now it was up to him to see where it led. Would he rise above the betrayal that threatened to destroy everything he had built? Only time would tell, and Lily was ready to face whatever came next, driven by the belief that kindness and courage could change the course of someone's destiny. The days that followed Lily's warning were tense, filled with an undercurrent of uncertainty that hung in the air like a storm cloud waiting to burst. Jack Thompson had taken her words to heart, and although she felt a surge of relief at his willingness to listen, she couldn't shake the feeling of dread that lingered in her gut. How would Jack approach Max? Would he confront him directly, or would he take a more subtle route, watching from the shadows while trying to piece together the puzzle? Lily watched Jack closely during those days at the cafe. He arrived earlier than usual, spending time in quiet reflection at his table. She could see the gears turning in his mind, the weight of his thoughts manifesting in the deep lines on his forehead. The once vibrant sparkle in his eyes was dimmed, replaced by a contemplative gaze that seemed to see right through the walls of the cafe and into the very core of his partnership with Max. It broke her heart to see him like this, grappling with uncertainty and doubt. One afternoon, as she served coffee to a couple at the corner table, she caught sight of Max entering the cafe, his boisterous energy immediately transforming the atmosphere. The moment he stepped through the door, laughter and chatter seemed to follow him, but for Lily, it felt like a chill swept through the room. She instinctively gripped the tray tighter, her pulse quickening. There was something about his presence that set her on edge, as if he were a predator entering a domain he believed to be secure. Max approached Jack's table with that same infectious smile, and Lily couldn't help but feel a rush of adrenaline. She watched from a distance, her heart racing as Jack's posture shifted from relaxed to tense the moment Max pulled out a chair and sat down. The banter began, light and casual, but beneath the surface, Lily sensed a silent battle brewing, a war between loyalty and suspicion, truth and deception. "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" Max exclaimed, slapping Jack on the back with a laugh. The camaraderie in his voice felt forced, almost desperate. Jack's response was measured, a stark contrast to Max's exuberance. "Not bad, just busy as always." The exchange continued, but Lily could see the flicker of uncertainty in Jack's eyes as he engaged with Max. Each time Max laughed, each time he leaned in closer, Jack's tension grew. It was as if he were walking a tightrope, balancing the weight of their friendship against the possible betrayal lurking in the shadows. Unable to contain her worry, Lily stepped behind the counter, pretending to organize coffee mugs while straining to catch snippets of their conversation. I've been working on some new investment opportunities, Jack. You know I always have your back, Max said, a hint of eagerness coloring his tone. Jack's response was guarded. Yeah, I appreciate that. But I've been thinking. His voice trailed off, and for a moment, the world around them seemed to fade away, leaving only the two men and the silent tension that lay thick between them. What's on your mind? Max pressed, a flicker of impatience crossing his features. I just need to make sure we're on the same page. Things have changed, and I want to be cautious, Jack replied, his tone firm yet measured. It was a thinly veiled challenge, and for a moment the air crackled with unspoken words. Lily's heart raced. Would Jack finally confront Max, or would he let the moment slip away? Max's smile faltered, and for the briefest instant, a shadow crossed his face. Cautious? Come on, we've built this empire together. You know I'd never steer you wrong. The fervor in his voice felt almost desperate, as if he were trying to drown out a truth that threatened to surface. The conversation turned to business, but Lily could see the undercurrents shifting. Max's facade was beginning to crack. Jack's suspicion was palpable, and Lily felt a rush of hope mingled with dread. What if this was the moment everything changed? As the day wore on, the cafe continued to bustle with life, but Lily was consumed by her thoughts. She felt like an invisible observer in a high-stakes game, where the stakes were not only Jack's fortune, but also his trust, friendship, and perhaps even his life. Her resolve hardened. She couldn't just watch from the sidelines. She had to act. When the cafe closed that evening, she found herself pacing the floor, her thoughts racing. The sounds of clinking dishes faded away, leaving only the rhythmic thump of her heart echoing in her ears. She knew she had to speak to Jack again, to gauge his feelings after the encounter with Max. She needed to ensure he was taking the threat seriously. As she locked up the cafe, she saw Jack walking towards her, his silhouette framed by the neon lights outside. He looked weary, the weight of the world resting on his shoulders. Hey, Lily, he greeted softly, his voice heavy with unspoken burdens. Can we talk? Of course, she replied, leading him to a quiet corner of the cafe. The air was thick with tension, and as Jack sat down, she could see the conflict brewing behind his eyes. I didn't want to say anything in front of Max, but I could feel the tension. How did it go? Jack ran a hand through his hair, a gesture that spoke volumes of his frustration. It was complicated. He was all smiles, but I sensed something deeper. I've known him for years, but now I'm not so sure. I keep replaying everything in my head. Lily leaned in, her heart racing as she spoke. That's a good instinct. Trust it. If something feels off, it probably is. You deserve to know the truth. Jack's gaze bore into hers, vulnerability shining through the cracks of his stoic exterior. I'm scared, Lily. Scared of losing everything I've worked for, and scared of losing my best friend. Lily reached out, placing a comforting hand on his. You're not alone in this. I'll help you find out the truth, whatever it takes. The sincerity of her words filled the space between them, a lifeline in the turbulent sea of uncertainty they faced. The conversation solidified a bond between them, one rooted in trust and mutual respect. As Jack nodded, a flicker of determination ignited in his eyes. You're right. I can't let fear dictate my choices. I need to uncover what's really going on. Little did they know, the storm was only beginning. As Jack prepared to confront the impending truth, the weight of betrayal loomed larger than ever, and Lily felt the winds of change swirl around them, a prelude to the chaos that would soon erupt. In that moment, she vowed to stand by Jack, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, their fates entwined in a web of loyalty and resilience against the backdrop of impending betrayal. The following week was filled with a palpable tension, a tightening grip of anxiety that coiled around Jack's heart. The cafe buzzed with life, yet Jack felt a persistent disconnect from the world around him. Each morning, as he sipped his coffee, the familiar taste felt foreign, a bitter reminder of the chaos simmering beneath the surface of his seemingly perfect life. With every conversation he had with Max, he became more acutely aware of the deceit lurking in the shadows, gnawing at the edges of their friendship. One evening after closing the cafe, Lily noticed Jack staring out the window, his expression distant. "You okay?" she asked softly, her voice cutting through the silence. "I don't know, Lily. Every time I see Max, I feel like I'm talking to a stranger," Jack admitted, running a hand through his hair. Frustration etched across his face. "I've always trusted him, but now I feel like I'm in a game where the rules have changed, and I don't know how to play." Lily stepped closer, her determination unwavering. "Then let's uncover the truth. You need to find out what he's really up to. You can't let this eat away at you." Jack nodded, resolve building within him. They devised a plan to dig deeper into Max's recent activities. Over the next few days, Jack began to keep a closer eye on his partner, carefully tracking his comings and goings. Lily, with her keen intuition, volunteered to help, suggesting they follow Max discreetly. It was a rainy Thursday evening when the two of them decided to put their plan into action. They staked out a nearby bar where Max frequently met clients. Jack felt a mix of excitement and dread as they parked across the street, rain pelting the windshield, obscuring their view. "I can't believe we're doing this," he said, half laughing, half nervous. Lily smiled reassuringly, her determination radiating through the damp air. "We're doing this for your peace of mind. Just remember, whatever we find, you'll handle it." As they waited, Jack's heart raced. He watched Max enter the bar, his familiar, confident stride unmistakable. Jack felt a pang of betrayal slice through him. The man who had been his confidant for 2 decades now felt like a stranger, cloaked in secrecy. "There he is," Jack whispered, his voice barely above the sound of rain. Inside the bar, the atmosphere was lively, laughter and clinking glasses echoing through the space. Jack and Lily craned their necks, trying to catch a glimpse of Max. He was sitting at a booth with 2 other men, their conversation animated, punctuated by the occasional burst of laughter that made Jack's stomach churn. "Do you think he's meeting clients, or—" Lily's voice trailed off, her eyes narrowed in concentration. "I don't know," Jack replied, his stomach twisting in knots, "but I need to find out." As they continued to watch, Jack noticed Max leaning in closer to one of the men, his expression serious. The mood shifted, and Jack felt the tension in the air, a heavy weight that pressed down on him. Suddenly, Max's laughter died down, replaced by a conversation that was decidedly more intense. Jack leaned forward, straining to catch every word. "Listen, I've got a solid plan. We can pull this off if we just keep it quiet," Max said, his voice low but urgent. "What if Jack finds out?" the other man replied, concern etched on his face. Jack's heart raced as he exchanged worried glances with Lily. This was it, the moment they had been waiting for. He had to hear everything. "I can't let him ruin this for me," Max continued, his tone sharpened by a blend of frustration and resolve. "I've worked too hard to let him get in the way." "Is he talking about me?" Jack whispered, a mix of disbelief and anger boiling inside him. Lily nodded, her expression somber. "We need to get closer." Gathering their courage, they slipped into the bar, careful to stay out of sight while trying to overhear more of Max's conversation. They edged toward a cluster of patrons, pretending to enjoy their drinks. But Jack's mind was racing. What was Max planning? Who were these men? Suddenly, Max stood up, raising his voice slightly. "If we're going to do this, we need to move fast. I can't trust Jack like I used to." Jack's heart sank, his worst fears confirmed. Every word felt like a knife twisting in his gut. He couldn't believe that the man he had considered a brother would betray him like this. Anger surged through him, but he knew he had to keep his cool. Lily grabbed his arm, a warning glint in her eyes. "Let's not confront him here. We need more proof, and we can't let him see us." "Right," Jack replied, taking a deep breath. "Let's get out of here." They left the bar, Jack's mind racing as they drove home. "I can't believe Max would even think about this. After everything we built together, he's planning to betray me." His voice shook with disbelief, a cocktail of anger and hurt. Lily placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. "You're not alone in this, Jack. We'll figure out the best way to confront him. You deserve to know everything." That night, Jack hardly slept, tossing and turning as the weight of the revelation pressed heavily on his chest. In the early hours of the morning, he sat on the edge of his bed, mind racing. He needed to confront Max, but also knew that it had to be done with care. It couldn't be a confrontation fueled by anger. It had to be strategic. The next day, as he prepared to meet Max at their usual lunch spot, Jack felt a mixture of determination and dread swirling in his stomach. He arrived early, his heart pounding, rehearsing the words he'd say. When Max finally arrived, Jack's heart raced, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Hey, buddy, you won't believe the deals I'm working on," Max said, his usual exuberance intact. "Max, we need to talk," Jack said, his voice steady, betraying none of the turmoil inside. "I know what you've been planning." Max's smile faltered, a flicker of fear flashing across his face. "What are you talking about?" "I saw you at the bar," Jack said, leaning forward, his intensity increasing. "I heard everything." Max's demeanor shifted, the playful mask slipping away to reveal the tension underneath. "Jack, you're betraying our friendship, our business. How could you?" Jack's voice shook with emotion, anger spilling over as the weight of betrayal bore down on him. Max's eyes darted, searching for an escape. "You don't understand," he stammered, the bravado fading away. "I was trying to protect us. To protect you." "Protect me?" Jack scoffed, incredulous. "By planning to cut me out of our business? This is about you and your greed, not about me." Max's expression shifted, desperation replacing the earlier bravado. "I was trying to make us both richer, Jack. You've been so cautious, and I thought..." "Thought what? That you could make deals behind my back and I wouldn't find out?" Jack's voice was a mixture of hurt and anger. As the truth unraveled between them, Jack realized that the threads of their long friendship were fraying at the seams. The betrayal was deeper than he had ever imagined, and the confrontation marked the beginning of the end for a partnership that had once felt unbreakable. The air between Jack and Max crackled with unspoken emotions, the weight of their 2 decades of friendship hanging in the balance. Jack's heart raced, his fists clenched as he fought to hold back the hurt and anger swirling within him. This was a moment he had never envisioned facing, one that felt surreal yet inevitable. "Max, I can't believe you'd think of betraying me like this," Jack said, his voice trembling with a mixture of disbelief and disappointment. "All those years we built this together. How could you just throw it away for a quick profit?" Max shifted in his seat, the bravado that once filled the room now replaced by an uncomfortable silence. "I thought I was making smart choices for us," he said, his voice low. "I was trying to expand the business. We could have been millionaires. But you were always so cautious, so focused on doing things the right way." "Doing things the right way is what made us who we are," Jack countered, his frustration bubbling over. "You always praised our values, our integrity. Now it seems you've thrown them out the window for a fleeting dream. What happened to the friend I used to know? The one who believed in doing things honestly?" Max's face fell, guilt washing over him. "I don't know, Jack. I got caught up in the ambition, the thrill of success. I thought maybe if I could make a little more money, it wouldn't hurt anyone. I didn't mean for it to go this far." Jack shook his head, a mix of sadness and anger churning inside him. "You didn't mean for it to go this far? Max, you were willing to deceive me, to undermine everything we've worked for, all for the chance of some extra cash. It's not just a mistake. It's a betrayal of everything we built together." Max looked down, shame coloring his features. "I know, and I'm sorry. I thought if I could just prove to you that we could take risks, that we could be more than we are." "But at what cost?" Jack interrupted, his voice rising. "You were willing to sacrifice our friendship, our trust. What you've done could ruin both our lives. I can't just overlook that." Silence enveloped them, thick with the weight of unspoken words. Jack's mind raced, recalling all the moments of laughter, the dreams they'd shared, the challenges they had overcome together. It felt like a cruel irony that the very person who had stood by him through thick and thin was now the one threatening to unravel it all. "Jack, please," Max finally said, his voice trembling. "I never wanted to hurt you. I just wanted to create something bigger, to leave a legacy. I thought you'd understand." Jack's heart softened slightly at Max's plea, but the hurt lingered. "Understanding doesn't come from betrayal, Max. It comes from trust. And right now, I don't know if I can trust you anymore." The pain in Jack's chest tightened as he spoke those words, but he knew he had to stand his ground. A moment of heavy silence passed before Jack continued. I need to take a step back. I can't work with you if you're willing to undermine everything we've created. I have to protect what we've built, even if it means walking away. Max's eyes filled with desperation. You can't just walk away. We can fix this. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll prove to you that I can change. Jack sighed, the anguish evident in his eyes. It's not about proving anything to me anymore, Max. It's about accountability. You need to face the consequences of your actions. I can't be part of this anymore if you're going to continue down this path. As he spoke those final words, Jack felt a sense of clarity wash over him. He realized that sometimes letting go was the hardest thing to do, but it was also the most liberating. The air felt lighter as he took a deep breath, allowing himself to embrace the decision he had made. Max slumped back in his chair, the fight leaving his body. I never wanted it to come to this, Jack, he whispered, his voice breaking. I just wanted us to be successful. Success doesn't come at the cost of our integrity, Max, Jack replied softly, the pain of their fractured friendship evident in his voice. You need to find your way back to that. I hope you do. With that, Jack stood up, his heart heavy but resolute. As he walked away, he felt the tears brimming in his eyes. It was a chapter closing, a painful but necessary goodbye. He couldn't change the past, but he could forge a new path for his future. As he stepped into the sunlight, the warmth enveloped him, mingling with the bittersweet ache in his heart. Life would move forward, and though it felt like a wound had been opened, he knew it would heal with time. Jack had the strength to rebuild and the resilience to find new opportunities. Though the road ahead was uncertain, he was determined to walk it with integrity, one step at a time. In the face of betrayal, he had discovered a profound truth. Sometimes, the hardest decisions lead to the most rewarding outcomes. As Jack stepped into his new beginning, he realized that true success comes from integrity and trust. If you enjoyed this story of resilience and the power of friendship, please like this video and subscribe for more heartwarming tales. Your support means the world to us.